Welcome to Zen Fits and the Voyage of the Naughty Knots. Okay, let's talk about a big knot here. Let's talk about Epstein and Trump and the cult of the virgins. This is a big knot we're going through right now, and we think it's serious, but is it a naughty knot? For those caught in the knot, for those in the knot, like Epstein and the people that empowered his cult, and the people who empower Trump, it's a naughty knot. But for those who are not in the knot, it's a serious knot. So what is the naughty knot of Epstein, Trump, and ICE? ICE is a naughty knot. James Bond is a naughty knot. Let's tie these knots together. All right, let's just stay with something simple. James Bond. James Bond has a license to kill, right? That's his logo. And killing is illegal. Killing is immoral. You can't kill. You can't do that, you see. But if you're James Bond, you have a license to kill. And the energy, charisma, the power of having a license to kill, of being James Bond. See, James Bond is a mythic hero. He always gets the villain, you see. He always is smarter than the villain. He eats villains like popcorn. One villain after another. They're all different. They're all unique. James Bond just eats them up. Why? Because he has power. He has charisma. How does he get that charisma? He gets it from the naughty knot. So what is the naughty knot? It's the power to be illegal. It's the power to be legally illegal. Get the ambiguity there? You get that naughty knot? So what is ICE? ICE is the power to be illegal. It's illegal to round up people on the street, throw them into jail, but ICE has the power to do it. They have a power to kill. They have a power to round up people with impunity. They just round up what they want, and they have the power to do it. That's a naughty knot. Other people, it's a knot. You can't do that. Epstein has the power to round up virgins or young girls. Other people can't do that. It's illegal to do that. It's immoral to do that. But if you belong to the Epstein cult, you have permission to do it. You have a license to round up and sacrifice virgins. And Trump is a naughty knot. Trump is a MAGA knot. If you belong to NAGA, you have the power of Trump to do what's illegal. You can do what you want with immunity. You see? That's the license to kill. The power to be beyond good and evil. The power to be beyond morality. And there's great rush in that. We all know that in our own life. Aren't there moments when you just throw the rules in the bag, in the trash, and do it anyway? Adolescents love this. The hell with it. Damn the damn the rules. Damn the morality. Full speed ahead. We all love that. In small and in large ways. In small ways, we reach a point where nothing works, and we just say, damn it, I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to do something I never did before. Suddenly you have a license to be crazy. You have a license to do what you never thought was possible. And there's a rush in that. There's an energy in that. And we get addicted to that. So some people just become wild and crazy guys because they get a rush from being wild and crazy. Or a criminal. Criminals get a rush from robbing people. Criminals get a rush from being beyond the law. And gambling is a rush. You get a rush from beating the odds. You get a rush from being wild and crazy, you see. And that was Epstein. He created a cult where rich and famous guys could do illegal things, immoral things, and have permission to do it. So it was intoxicating. It was intoxicating. And the same with Trump. He's the president. He's the president who has immunity. He can do what he wants. There's a rush in that. a power in that, you see. And that's the cult of the virgin. The virgin, ancient societies were all sacrificial societies, but they really sacrificed humans. In the ancient societies, the planning societies, the king was sacrificed. After 4 years, 8 years, the king was ritually sacrificed. Then some king figured out, well, wait a minute, I'll replace a sheep or a bull, so we'll sacrifice the bull instead of me. And so now that was animal sacrifice replaced human sacrifice. And Christianity is still based in that. We sacrifice the living God, we can't sacrifice God because we can't find him. So we sacrifice him symbolically with wafers as body and wine as blood. So we eat God, you see. We're cannibals. We're God cannibals, but ritually. But these rituals get dead. These rituals get empty. It's just wafers and grape juice. What is that? There's no power in that. So we create new rituals, living rituals where there's living power, living energy. And the cults are like that. Cults, whether small or large, generate energy because they are beyond the law. And then when the law catches up with them, like in Waco, there's a war, and it's a fight to the death. Japan was a cult of the warrior, and they would fight to the death. Even reports of one soldier stayed in the jungle for 25 years. He never did give up. Or finally he gave up. But this was a cult of the warrior. And Hitler was the same way. Fight to the end, fight to the death, you see. And so Japan and Hitler were sacrificial cults. And so we create these sacrificial cults to replace the dead sacrificial cults of religion. Or the cults that are empty and have no more juice in them. So we find new ways to find juice. Anyway, I hope you get my point here. This is the naughty knots. Is that the cult of Epstein is if you're not in the Epstein cult, it's a serious knot. You can't do that. But if you're in the cult, it's a naughty knot, and you feel so naughty. You see, if you belong to an Epstein cult, you have a license to be naughty. But you don't see it as being evil. You just see being naughty. So anyway, do you get the point here? As we discover and explore what naughty knots are, the naughty knot is a knot that is playful. Epstein's cult was playful. Of course, it was serious. I'm not saying it was play, but I'm saying that to those who were in it, Prince Andrew, and whatever, it was playful. You got to play with these girls. You felt young again. You got to play and romp with them. And so this sense of illegal play is what I'm getting at. James Bond is play. James Bond played at being James Bond. So the naughty knot is creating a knot that is playful. Crossword puzzles are playful knots. Movies are knots, tensions. We play with it. So the naughty knot is a knot we can play with it to release it. Anyway, I've run out of this knot here. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe and save. Let's keep the knots going.